Hi there! Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Julie DiMatteo from thepaperpixie.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US, and in this video tutorial I've got a super quick treat holder. This is a triple nugget treat holder that is incredibly easy to make, and it is great for making multiples because you can get 4 of these out of a sheet of 8.5 by 11. For this project we're using products from the Abstract Beauty suite that is in the January to June 2022 mini catalog on pages 48 and 49, and we're going to be using the Hello Beautiful bundle as well as the Abstract Beauty Specialty Designer Series paper. I absolutely love the versatility of this bundle. So much fun you can have with these shapes here, very artistic, and I love the sentiments in the mixed fonts. The set of dies, the beautiful shapes dies, are so fun to work with. I've got a couple of dies missing here because we're using them for the project, but such fun shapes. You got circles, hexagons, half hexagons there, nesting hexagons, nesting circles. Really great set of dies to work with. Then here's a quick peek at the Abstract Beauty Specialty Designer Series paper. This is actually a 4x6 paper, a little bit of a different size than what we're used to, but lots of bold, fun patterns with that gold foil throughout. I just love this paper. Quick flip through there. So I'm going to show you how to get 4 of these out of a sheet of 8.5 by 11. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with a piece of 8.5 by 11 Magenta Madness cardstock. And on the 8.5 inch side, I'm just going to cut off an inch. So we're going to cut that down to 7.5 inches. So what we're going to have is a 7.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. Bringing in the Simply Scored, we're going to score this along the 7.5 inch side or the short side at 1 3/8, 1 7/8, 3 1/4, and 3 3/4. Now bringing back the paper trimmer, and some of you may be asking why I switched between the paper trimmer and the Simply Scored. I personally get more accurate score lines when I use the Simply Scored, so that's my scoring tool of choice. Well, now we're going to turn this to the 11 inch side, and we're going to cut this to 2 3/4, and we're going to get exactly 4 of these out of this. So then what we end up with a piece of 8.5 by 11 is we've got 4 pieces for our triple nugget treat holder, and then we just have this extra 1 inch by 11 inch strip that you can use for future projects. I love that. The easiest tip here is to make sure that you start with the full piece, do your score lines, and then do your cuts, and it's going to save you a lot of time, especially when you're making multiples. Because I got to tell you, you're not going to be able to stop. This treat holder is so fun to make. So with one of these pieces, I'm going to round the top 2 corners here, and these are the corners that are the furthest away from the score line. So bringing in the detailed trio punch. I also have 2 pieces of the Abstract Beauty Specialty Designer Series paper. The smaller piece measures 1 1/4 by 2 5/8. And the larger piece measures 2 1/4 by 2 5/8. Both of these, if you had a directional pattern, you want them to be in landscape. So in landscape orientation, you want to round the top 2 corners of the larger piece. All right, now before we put this together, we're going to go ahead and adhere our designer series paper, and I like to use liquid glue for this. For the larger piece, I want to be on the side of the cardstock where these score lines are actually mountain score lines. So feel for the bumps on the score lines. That's the side that we want to adhere the larger piece to, and we're going to adhere that right up where we rounded the corners. And you're going to put that close up to the edge. You're going to have about a 1/16 of an inch of the Magenta Madness around the edges there. All right, now we're going to go ahead and flip this over because now we want to adhere this piece to the side that has the valley score lines. Now, if this was directional, you're going to turn it this way where you have your rounded corners at the bottom, and we're going to adhere this piece in the center of those score lines, or I should say in between those score lines. All right, like so. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish on the score lines. Now essentially what we're going to do is we're going to put adhesive here on the section that doesn't have the designer series paper, and if I fold on the 1st and 3rd score lines, I can press that down flat, and that's going to be the perfect size for those Hershey nuggets. All right, so I'm just going to put liquid glue here along this section without the designer series paper, and I'm going to again fold on the 1st score line and the 3rd score line, so 1st and 3rd, and then just press this down flat, letting our score lines square up our paper here. I'm going to come in with the bone folder and just make sure that that is nice and stuck down. like so. So this is how the box is going to go together, and our Hershey's Nuggets are going to fit in there. Now before we put those in, I want to come in and tie a little bow here. And this is the gold cord from the Simply Elegant trim that I'm going to go ahead and tie a bow around the front. So I'm just going to feed that through our little slot here. I'm going to grab a pair of reverse tweezers to help with a third hand for me. And it does help to kind of press this down flat to give me a little bit of leverage using the desk. All right, so there's that little cord, and you do want to make sure you pull that knot as tight as you can so it doesn't come unraveled. You could also hide a mini glue dot under there as well. Now I do want to give a shout out to fellow demonstrator Sarah Lincoln as well as Don Griffith. They shared their own versions of this project a few years ago. Sarah Lincoln's version was 3 inches wide, and I wanted to pixify it a little bit to see if we could get 4 of these out of a sheet of 8.5 by 11. And the trick to getting the nuggets to fit is to stagger them slightly. This is how we're going to feed these in. Top. Then we're going to flip this over, the middle one, and then top again. So let me turn them on their sides. Because of the way that Hershey's Nuggets are shaped, that gives you a little bit of extra space if you stagger them that way with the Hershey's Nuggets. All right, so the other thing I want to pay attention to is which direction the wrapper is going here. So I want to make sure that when I feed this into the box, I don't want the box edge to get stuck on that flap. So I'm going to feed in this edge first. So we'll do our first one. Then I'm going to flip this the other direction. That's our second one. And then our third one. And you'll be amazed, the tension with this, those are not falling out. How cute is that? You are not going to be able to stop making these. Let's embellish this a little bit and then we'll be done. I've cut a couple of hexagons from the Beautiful Shapes dies and I wanted to show you how I created that hexagon frame. I've already cut that ahead of time, but this is how we layered the 2 smaller hexagon shapes. I just layer them and then use some Post-it tape to hold those into place as I run it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And it gives you this really cool looking frame. And the great thing is that you'll have the middle piece to use depending on which colors you use. So I just picked the opposite colors, the frame and then the smaller hexagon that we'll use on this. So liquid glue, and then I'm just going to layer these pieces. Just a thin bead of glue on the frame. You could also use the adhesive sheets on here as well. And then on a scrap piece of basic white, I'm going to stamp the phrase "Thank you" from the Hello Beautiful stamp set. And then we're going to take this rectangular die and I'm going to layer that over top, use some Post-it tape to hold that into place. And then I'm going to run that through the mini machine. And this adorable mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine is actually 20% off during the month of March 2022. So be sure to take advantage of it if you don't have this sweet little machine in your stash. And then here's what that sentiment looks like. You can see that it's embossed and cut. Love the look of that. Just going to grab a trio of dimensionals. Then we're going to pop that up on the front of our treat holder. And for the finishing touch, I'm just going to bring in a small gilded gem. And there we have our super quick and easy triple nugget treat holder. I absolutely love the way the tension on the nuggets keep that in place. So quick and easy to make. This would be so sweet for a swap at a Stampin' Up event, just to give out as a random act of kindness. How fun is that? And you can switch this up for so many different occasions. These would be so cute for St. Patrick's Day. Just a thank you. I love the way they look, and you can see how I just altered the cardstock colors here as well. You can have a lot of fun with the Abstract Beauty Designer Series paper and pick lots of fun, bright, bold colors. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss my next video. If you're interested in purchasing any of the Stampin' Up! Products I used today, they'll be linked in the description. And I'll also include a link to my detailed blog post with all project measurements and details. I'd love to have you come visit me at thepaperpixie.com for more inspiration. And if you give this project a try, I'd love to see what you made. So feel free to share it on social media with the hashtag #PaperPixie, and I'll be sure to check it out. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. Take care. Bye.